Okay. Good morning. Uh, okay. Morning. I'm Dr. Del Rosario. Can we now start? Okay lang tayo mag-start? Hello?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, sige. Start na tayo our topic for this morning is about enhanced recovery after surgery. Okay. Uh, at the end of this session, we would like you to understand the underlying principles and the management in preoperative, intraoperative, and postoperative period using ERAS. Basically, the conditions here are for elective surgery. And I know the advantage of these principles in relation to some of the present day clinical practice. Okay. So, ang question, just to, so that we'll be focused. Pre-op question is, you may answer it now or later on. Is it beneficial to control or manage the blood sugar level before the operation? And second, during the operation, balance fluid intake and output uh, will be better for the gastrointestinal motility of our patient. And after operation, early ambulation will lead to faster recovery post-op, dalawang post-op. Okay, sige. So later on, probably we could answer the question. So what do you think when you see coffee? Diba, you think of Starbucks. How about sportswear? You think of Nike or Adidas for some people. For fast track surgery, you should be thinking of Eras. Okay. Sige. Okay, it's like a comparison between snail space and parang running sa sobrang bagal sa naman medyo tama lang yung pacing. Okay. In this picture, parang this is a diagram of the three phases, the before operation, during operation, and after operation. Okay. It's also called fast track surgery or day surgery. It's evidence-based. Its aim is to reduce stress so that patient outcome is positive or enhanced. So it consists of three phases: before operation, during operation, and after operation, or the recovery phase. Okay, you may see this kinds of patient, medyo, talagang super payat, hectic. Okay. Among cancer patients, there are two things that affect our patients: the tumor itself and the body itself. So both of these will lead to cancer progression, weight loss. So in the cancer, it produces massive protein and lipid degradation. However, their body produces different cytokines that will lead to decreased appetite, sometimes and cell destruction. So both will lead to decreased weight loss. So this is a data highlighting the effect of lean body mass losses or your muscle mass in relation to complications and associated mortality. So if you have a 10% muscle loss or lean body mass loss, there's a decreased immunity and a 10% chance of mortality. If you have a 20% lean body mass loss, you will have increased infection, decreased healing of your wound, and a 30% chance mortality. For 30% chance or 30% loss of your lean body mass, you will experience pressure ulcers, pneumonia, and then almost 50% chance. Beyond 30%, it's almost sure death. Following injury or stress, the body will require energy expenditure, and it will also have increased urinary nitrogen uh, wasting. Okay, there will be alteration of your protein, carbohydrates, and fats as far as its metabolism is concerned. Our goal is to attenuate or decrease this effect, reduce stress during operation, and early return to homeostasis so that there will be shorter hospital stay and less expenses for the patient. Okay. As I said a while ago, it is divided. Actually, meron pang pre-admission, ano? So let's focus on the surgical aspect. So before admission, we focus on the nutritional support and some medical problem, no? Like may diabetes, may ganon, hypertension. And for those who are smoking, cessation of smoking and control of alcohol intake. Before the operation, selective bowel preparation, meaning hindi lahat with the bowel prep. And then during operation, we use as much as fluid introduction and use and as far as much as possible, decreased uh, minimally invasive surgery and decreased the braces tubes and cause of early ambulation. Then we optimize everything. Okay. Pre-op, intra-op, and post-op. So lagi natin yung tatlong phases na yan, lagi natin na-emphasize. Okay. Before admission, we optimize the patient's condition to yung pre-admission. Medical conditions such as nutritional status, social and behavior status, and factors. No? Ano to health condition? We have to maintain the blood sugar of the patient to this level, and then hypertension should be controlled. Cardiovascular problem should be addressed. Even yung respiratory problem and renal problem of the patient. So in other words, the whole patient should be addressed. And then social behavior such as smoking cessation, at least for 4 to 6 weeks before the intended operation. So hindi agad, kumbaga matagal yung preparation, but our aim is to shorten the recovery period during the operation and after the operation, and to decrease or almost no to alcohol intake. Okay. What happens for why do we like the patient to have cessation of smoking? Because during the intubation period or introduction of anesthesia, sometimes the patient's hypersecretion. So there will be prolonged intubation. So ayaw natin yun. And then alcohol dependency, not more than 2 units of alcohol, meaning not more than 150 ml of wine or 500 ml of our favorite beverage here, because it may decrease the immunity of the patient. And of course, no illicit drug use. Regarding the nutritional status, we screen and assess the nutritional level of the patient. For those mild to moderate, operation may proceed immediately, and severely malnourished should be filled up at least a week before the operation. Okay, as far as their physical condition, we don't want that. We correct heart failure. We correct the possible infection. We correct other conditions such as with functional research of the lungs and hemodilution and coagulation factors. So this is how we assess, or using this form, we assess the nutritional level of the patient. So in our case, we have a survey that in 2023, the nutritional assessment of each cases. For example, punta lang tayo sa lagi natin ginagawa, yung appendectomy. Yung blue, underweight patient. So wala as far as appendectomy is concerned, wala tayong underweight, pero most are normal, yung orange. Yung gray is overweight at obese. So you know that ano, no, as much as possible sana we would like the normal, pero it's a fact that they're malnourished and they're overweight and obese patients that we encounter. Take note that most of the underweight are those with GI problems like large bowel, small bowel, esophagus, and stomach problems. So the study done in a private institution, mortalities that affected with malnutrition, but the complication rate of patients. Yung red, these are the severely malnourished patients. Well, yung ito, yung moderate to mild lang yung yellow. So the amount of complication that you will encounter will be double if you are dealing with a severely malnourished patient. Okay. So, for example, ano yung mga condition? Anemia. So some for men, less than 130 milligrams per liter, for women, less than 120. So we know for a fact that this hemoglobin is needed for nutrient, oxygen, and medication delivery to the cells. It's diagnosed using serum ferritin, less than 30 milligram per liter. So for without inflammation, but wala pang inflammatory process. Pero if patient with inflammatory process, it should be less than 100 milligram per liter. And then also for those with vitamin B deficiency, like B12 and folic acid. So patients will tolerate ferrous tablet, 40 to 60 milligrams daily. But for those who would like to use IV ferric carboxymaltose, they could use 15 mg per kilogram. So a maximum dose of 1,000 milligram. That blood transfusion erythropoietin is not highly recommended because, especially for blood transfusion, because that's an ano, it's still ano, patient may react to foreign body like blood components. Okay. In a study done in our institution regarding the attitude of our doctors, especially the surgeons, the anesthesiologists, and residents and the nurses, regarding ERAS. Yung first column is those who are favor, the second column is those who are not in favor, and the third is those without any reaction. Walang pakialaman. Hindi naman walang pakialam, pero wala. Neutral. So, using iron supplementation, majority are in favor as far as the surgeon and anesthesiologist are concerned. Kasi sa anesthesiologist, medyo hindi pala masyado. Sa surgeon, medyo mataas awareness or in favor of the giving iron supplementation. Okay. These are the evidences that are presented and studied in as far as ERAS is concerned. Yung yellow, yun yung may weak recommendation. However, most are with strong recommendation. So yung rehabilitation hindi lang masyado binibigyan ng emphasis. But optimization, nutrition, and anemia screening is highly recommended. Another one is antibiotics prophylaxis. And from prophylaxis and anesthesia agent selection. And lung, of course, ventilation of the lungs. Fluid administration. Okay. Pre-medication, selective pre-medication is given at a minimal dose. Why? Because we wanted to avoid side effects of prolonged sedation, impaired motor function, and nausea and vomiting, and that may lead to ileus and respiratory depression. However, bowel prep is not always recommended because it may lead to dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, especially if sodium and water imbalance. The antibiotics, it is guided by the types of foods that we will encounter and also the possible bacteria that is found in the specific organ. It should be given 30 to 60 minutes before the cutting time. And if your operation will, in case it exceeds 4 hours, you should give another dose. Okay. These are the types of foods. For example, clean, contaminated, dry. Uh, Clean pag hindi will not enter the GI tract or the respiratory tract or the GUD tract. Clean contaminated, you will enter it but uninfected. Yung contaminated is there will be minimal aspiration. Dirty is those with devitalized tissues. So most operation will fall into clean, contaminated, and contaminated. And also we need thromboprophylaxis. We use low molecular weight heparin to prevent thrombus complication that may lead to deleterious condition like pulmonary embolism and sometimes stroke or heart problem. Usually use that for elderly patients with lung bone fracture, where ambulation is a problem or you should manage. But it should not go beyond 28 days for those ambulatory patients. And also we encourage the use of compression stockings. So this is an example of compression stockings. Hindi to parang yung ordinary kasi the material is different, and also some important parts of the lower extremities are emphasized. Anesthesia use should be short acting and like a propofol, short acting at the same time, but it's easy to reverse the condition so that patient will have decreased respiratory depression, and so that there will be early ambulation and feeding. And also, we don't like long-acting neuromuscular blocking agents so that our swallowing will not be affected. Also, fluid management. Uh, Fluid correction should be done before the operation itself so that uh, patient will be well hydrated during the operation. So the study done was where restrictive fluid therapy with near zero input versus output is beneficial. You prevent hypovolemia and excessive fluid administration that will lead to further pulmonary renal complication because it may lead to uh, delayed bowel motility, and sometimes anastomosis of the bowel will be affected. And also sometimes it may cause nausea and vomiting. So what happens? There's a salt and water overload. There it may lead to ill use and sometimes dehiscence. Uh, Regarding fasting period, uh, it will really depend on the gastric residual or the gastric emptying time of the patient. There should be no solid food for at least 6 hours before the operation. You may give clear liquid, but you have to check for the gastric or the pyloric valve or the distal gastric obstruction. And you should also manage, importantly, you should manage the blood sugar level, especially for those who are diabetics, no? Because it may lead to motility problems. So, hindi, it's not beneficial for those conditions. Okay. A study done in our institution regarding attitude towards early this feeding and especially using the high carbohydrate supplement trick 2 hours before the operation. Most surgeons and even anesthesiologists favor the practice. Uh, as I said a while ago, gastric emptying time is important because it tells you that time wherein half of the food that you ingest will be already absorbed in the body. So for water, in just 12 minutes after drinking your water, already half of it will be beyond your stomach. For liquid, in general, 30 minutes, and for solid food, between 3 to 4 hours. This is the reason why you do not want to give solid food 6 hours before an intended operation. But you can give a liquid or high concentrated carbohydrate liquid 2 hours before, because 3 minutes and in 30 minutes half of it will be consumed, and another 30 minutes it all will all be consumed. So meron ka pang 1 hour na lag period to make sure but to make sure that there's no obstruction and your blood sugar level is well managed. Okay. So these are the transit time of the different organs on our body, and also how fast this food, for example, in juice, in 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes is already consumed. However, solid food like cooked meat and fish is 3 to 4 hours. So it's also this also diagram explains to us the gastric emptying time. So these are the liquid or solid that are found in the stomach, and these are the hours where it's half of it will be and how is it consumed. For normal emptying time for liquid, so all in 2 hours almost consumed. For solids, half of it 3 hours. Okay, but however, if you have uh, diabetic patients with gastroparesis or motility problems, it will be very difficult for you to experience a well or a good gastric emptying time. So, moral lesson of the story is you should manage your uh, blood sugar level and select which kind of food that you are giving to the patient before the operation. So again, you can give a high concentrated carbohydrate fluid if you decide to give it to your patient, but never give solid food uh, 6 hours before the operation. Okay. Fasting before operation will be based on gastric emptying time as an emphasis to the condition. Their liquid can be given 2 hours before the operation to prevent dehydration, hypoglycemia. A carbohydrate-rich drink will shift from fasting to fed state. It decreases loss of insulin resistance. It will preserve your lean body mass and not highly recommended for diabetic patient. Okay. Attitude towards loading carbohydrates loading before the operation. So among surgeons, majority 71, almost 72%, and for anesthesiologists about 80%. So as far as this survey was concerned 2 years ago, ito yung general consensus among practitioners. Okay. Regarding nausea vomiting, pre-medication, periodic preparation, and all, and carbohydrate drink diet, there's a strong evidence recommendation on those factors. Okay. And then temperature regulation is also very important. It prevents, shivering because we shiver, there will be anaerobic condition that's happening in the body. But the blood will shift from the main body to the extremities. Also, coagulability will be affected because it prevents platelet aggregation because we are operating on the patient. You don't want to uh, uh, experience prevention of platelet aggregation. You want very good clotting mechanism in the patient. There are the prolonged post-anesthesia care. There's possibility of surgical site infection because your immunity is also affected. And also there may be also adverse cardiac events. Okay. So these are the triad of death: hypothermia, acidosis, and coagulopathy. So it is caused by hypothermia. So you should avoid during the operation. Okay. Glycemic control is also very important. As I said a while ago, we should be maintaining our sugar level to be between 140 to 180 milligrams per deciliter. So if there's hypoglycemia, may give D5 containing fluid, yung mga IV natin, D5 containing IV fluid. Again, but if there's hyperglycemia, you may resort to insulin therapy if it's needed. Because, as I said a while ago, gastric motility will be affected. There will be probably nausea and vomiting if it's uncontrolled. Okay. This diet, that's the effect of the glucagon and insulin in our body. Regarding the size of the operation, between laparoscopic and open surgery, we favor the laparoscopic procedure if it's feasible and manageable. So there is small skin incision, there with less mediator, pro-inflammatory mediator release, better pulmonary care, and easy return to bowel function. Therefore, decreased hospital stay and cheaper for the patient, and also better post-op scar. Eh, this one is I think to increase what what, uh, the anesthetic effect of the patient. Okay. Local infiltration of the wound prior to closing the surgery using bupivacaine. And this the transverse abdomen is plain black for the patient. Epidural anesthesia, post-op may delay na kung hindi naman kailangan. But if you need it, it's all right. Okay. Why do we favor laparoscopic surgery if we can do it in comparison with open? Because there will be less inflammatory effect, less pro-inflammatory cytokines that will be generated. So if there is increased inflammatory condition, there will be increased glucagon and cortisol release. So, however, sometimes our body can cope up. However, as much as possible, it's important that we avoid as much as possible yung pro-inflammatory effects. Okay. Regarding post-operative management, we wanted to manage the pain of the patient. So if there's nausea and vomiting, we manage its condition. And we advocate early feeding if it's feasible, early ambulation. Regarding pain management, example of the use is paracetamol and NSAID, and paracetamol and COX-2 inhibitor. And so that we can experience early ambulation. If there's patient experience less pain, patient will easily ambulate. With early ambulation, we manage the uh, pulmonary condition, and also we can manage the uh, early feeding of the patient. Of course, we don't want stressful and unpleasant experience. Okay, this is one of the conditions why some people are prone to post-op nausea and vomiting. Female gender, smokers, those are with allergy to anesthesia. And the most important here is the length of surgical procedures. Antiemetic prophylaxis, it avoids nausea and vomiting, which delays our feeding. Some we use dexamethasone and ondansetron. CRP is a predictor of infective complication in colorectal operation. Fluid management is also very important, especially we use the lactated drinker solution in place of the NSS. You may give 100 to 150 ml boluses so that you'll have better hydration and better urine output. In a study done again in our institution, with the effect of restrictive IV fluid and liberal IV, liberal IV during operation, it was found out that restrictive gives an odds ratio of 1.4. For an odds ratio less than 1, that means it favors or less complication using the restrictive administration of IV during operation, meaning almost balanced input and output. Early feeding is done within the first 24 hours post-op. High calorie fluid prevention. We provide high calorie fluid so that we prevent negative protein balance, because protein is important for immunity and for wound healing. Okay. So regarding the attitude of giving early feeding, again, in a study that in our institution between surgeon and anesthesiologist, so medyo malabo yung 100% siguro. Kasi six jobs, merong isang nag-compose eh. So, but at least it's majority among the anesthesiologists. Among surgeon, majority, 27 out of 29 favored early oral feeding. In, Now, anong reason? Yeah, in Swartz, in our textbook, in page 69, it states, it state that initiation of enteral nutrition should occur after adequate resuscitation, meaning you have adequate urine output. Uh, it says that presence of bowel sounds and passage of flatus or stool is not an absolute recommendation for giving enteral nutrition. However, if there's a gastroparesis, you should not give early uh, enteral nutrition. So meaning adequate hydration and adequate urine output is the one that should determine if you feed the patient or not. So why is it why do we advocate that? Because if you feed early, you will maintain your gastric mucosal integrity. You preserve your intestinal villi, so there will be less uh, better mucosal immunity and less bacterial translocation. Regarding the use of drainage NGT, they said that drainage does not prevent leak or in the intestinal anastomosis. And NGT and urine catheter, it may restrict early ambulation, so that we advocate early removal if it's not needed anyway. So because it's prone to pneumonia and urinary tract infection. So this is the NGT. This is your tubes. Avoidance of NGT prevents discomfort because it's discomforting to have something that's sticking on your nose. And early catheter removal, it promotes early ambulation because you will go to the bathroom or comfort room in our case. Because if you have catheter, you are not given the, the chance to do early ambulation. Certain types of the trays that we use, and this is the type of the urinary catheter that we use. So, so as far as this concerned, this that I discussed, all of them are highly recommended as far as our ERAS protocol is concerned. Okay. Now, what's the difference between ERAS and traditional as far as nutrition is concerned? We would like to give a routine protein and carbohydrate supplementation. As far as intravenous fluid is concerned, we want a goal-directed and balanced fluid. As far as pain control, we want multimodal approach. As far as GI function and oral intake, clear liquid before post-op day zero and no tube feeding. But trains and tubes, we do not advocate it. And post-op level care, as much as possible, we want step down and early ambulation. In summary, pre-op plan is aimed at optimizing our patient so that there will be less complication during our operation. So we want an effective intra-operation that will result to better post-op surgery management. And we wanted an eventful and pain-free post-op operation that there will be early ambulation, shorter hospital stay, and lesser cost to the patient. Okay, this is an overview. Uh, Rehabilitation, pre-op, pre-operative condition. So we manage the uh, nutrition level of the patient. If it's low risk or no to roll, we immediately do the operation. However, if there's a need to postpone it, so we have to manage the medical and nutritional condition of the patient. Then intra-op, we use balance, decreased restrictive uh, fluid management, then possibly advocate early ambulation and early feeding. Okay, the question now, probably you can answer it. Is it beneficial to control and manage the blood sugar before operation? Of course, the answer is yes. Is balanced fluid or is it important to have a better GI motility? Of course, the answer is yes. Early ambulation is important for for early post-op recovery. Okay, these are my references. And just a reminder, no, in Proverbs 3:27, do not withhold good from those who deserve it when it is in your power to act. We can give early ambulation, early feeding, and the whole milieu of enhanced recovery. Why not give it? So this ends my lecture. Do you have clarification or do you have any question? Ano mga heart-heart? O sige, malayo pa Valentine's. Andito ba yung mga, mga preceptorial classes ko? Okay, do you have a question? Wala. Any, clarification? Okay, kung wala, sige, I have to, okay. Goodbye for now.
Thank you po, Doc.
Okay, bye.
Yun po.
Odo.
Thank you
Bye.
po.
Sige. Okay, thank